Beyond Dreaming, a guide to awakening consciousness through the path of astral projection and out-of-body experiences, by Jean Hart, Part 15. You may be disappointed to find that I don't put primary emphasis on some all-promising ultimate step-by-step method. There are reasons for this, which has to do with the very reason why so many attempt to come out of body but fail. From a young age, our minds have been conditioned to solve problems and carry out tasks by methodological approaches. This is great for mundane tasks, but when it comes to the transcendental and liberating experience of astral travel, we also need to transcend methods. More specifically, we need to transcend thinking. We rely too much on and seek step-by-step manuals for consciousness as if it's a microwave meal. The reality is that the intelligence of consciousness is beyond intellectual comprehension. What a mistake it is to assume that the mind has control over consciousness or that it can understand it through labels and language. The opposite is true. Consciousness is always in control of the mind, whether we have a false sense of it or not. It is in the very depths of transcendental consciousness that all spiritual truths are discovered. Journey into these dimensions of presence and lucidity while you're awake, and you'll journey into them while you're sleeping. I will, of course, provide various practices throughout the book and reveal a sort of summarized version of my personal approach. With that said, I hope by the time you read this book, you understand that astral projection is more effective when we approach it intuitively and instinctively through the heart's intelligence. Although you may think that's a vague way to describe it, it's absolutely true in practice. The center of the heart is far more superior in knowing how to astral project than the brain. I want to make this clear. This book will never be the root cause that enables you to astral project. No book can do that. Ultimately, you will only ever do it for yourself. I only hope that in conveying my understanding of these realities, it will help you to intuit the practice for yourself. Another thing that should be absolutely clear is that these non-physical realities that modern science knows so little about are accessible to us all directly, no matter who you are, your age, and what you believe in. You can come from any religion and any belief system. Some belief systems may make it more difficult than others, but this has absolutely nothing to do with whether you are a scientist, a religious person, or anywhere in between. In fact, a scientist can have more chance of astral traveling than a religious person, and vice versa, depending on their kinds of belief. For example, some distinguished scientists are more inclined to objective states of consciousness. They will refrain from believing in anything until they openly experiment with it for themselves. On the other hand, a highly religious person may think that astral projection is some sort of sin. To this I say, how can something so natural to our being ever be a sin? It is as natural as learning to breathe more consciously. Such a belief can get in the way of your attempts. On the other hand, a scientist who holds a belief that there is nothing more to reality other than what we can see physically could have a more challenging time having an out-of-body experience. On the other hand, a religious person who prays to every type of God and asks them to bring them out of their body to experience heavenly planes of existence would probably have a much greater chance of doing so. At the end of the day, it's all about keeping an open mind, no matter what your background or beliefs are. You see, taking up the art and practice of astral projection is not learning something new or creating a new skill. You are simply becoming aware of an innate ability that resides as part of your consciousness already. It is not some weird or a godlike power. It is entirely normal and ordinary. In the same way that many aspire to know themselves more deeply, astral projection is just another aspect of that. Know thyself.